How about the 280 atomic gun and any test studies that might be going on here along this line? It's one thing for us to have an atomic cannon that's the biggest, heaviest gun in the world, but it's something else to be sure that the big gun's weight is so distributed that it can be safely driven across a military bridge. The gauge, with the moving hand, is measuring the strains on the bridge's structure. They told me that this monster tips the scales at around 85 tons, but nevertheless, it appeared it could be depended upon to get places where it might be needed. It turned a corner like a hook and ladder fire engine, only with this contraption, the driver in the rear doesn't just steer some hind wheels. He's got an engine to drive, just the same as the fellow's got up in the front. The colonel and I walked over to see if perhaps we couldn't get some first-hand information.
What is it like to drive such a big vehicle?
Well, it's comparatively easy after you get used to it. Takes a little while to get used to it, but after that it's very simple. Just like driving any ordinary truck.
Well, do you ever have any trouble with one stopping and the other trying to go?
No, not yet, we haven't.
Well, are you in communications with the man in the back truck now?
That's right, by this radio.
And you control the whole vehicle?
I can, or he can, either one, except for the brakes.
Now, how do you contact him to move out?
By radio.
All right, will you take off now?
Right.
Contact him.
Ruff, let's go.
Later in the day, we observed some further tests on the 280.
Lieutenant, just what is the purpose of this test and this elaborate setup?
Now, this afternoon, we are engaged in the acceptance testing of the 280 millimeter gun, carriage, and projectile. And that tower to my rear is the velocity tower, which will measure the velocity of the projectile as it comes forth from the muzzle.
I see. Now, they've got the projectile right up there now.
Is she all ready, John? Ready for ramming. Okay, ram!
What is the range of this gun?
The range is approximately 20 miles. However, before firing, we have to take a safety check with our safety man, Mr. Webster. Webb? Can you give us a check on that range down there?
W from 391, Norman, give us clearance now from 280 millimeter, approximately 20 miles.
W9, 11 and 25, I have a clearance for the 280. All clear, 9. All clear, W11. 391 from W, okay to fire, clearance 58.
Clearance number 58.
Clarence 5-8.
We're all set to fire then.
That's correct. The gun is now ready for firing. He'll elevate it to the proper elevation for firing through the coils. The gun has been primed. Once it's at its proper elevation, we'll attach the lanyard to the firing magneto and send this one on its way.
A few final checks here. Has to be pretty accurate, doesn't it, Lieutenant?
That's quite correct, because if it's off more than 1 mil either way, we may have a damaged coil up there.
Chronograph and instrumentation are all ready.
Our recording devices are all set now. The crew chief is now attaching the lanyard to the magneto box, and we'll be ready in just 1 second to fire it. We're all ready now.